All right, had to turn the volume down on my phone. I'm untrained since last year. I've only done one show back. Good to be back with you again. Welcome to Mayor's Minute. It is sunny outside, that big round yellow thing that we're not used to seeing this summer. That is the sun. It is a glorious day. It's about low 70s, upper 60s. It's just a gorgeous day in the city of Methuen. And hopefully more like this is, I don't know how much more rain we can stand. You know, we are everywhere across the city, like sponges, full, right? And so working hard to address some situations, but welcome back. We have a little bit of a different show tonight. I have two guests that I'm going to introduce in a minute, but I wanted to start by saying congrats to the Methuen High School football team for their thrilling 27-24 victory over Mansfield. I think it was Mansfield High. Last Friday night, it was a real gut burster, and the Easter brothers came through again. So make sure you tune in. I'm told it's going to be streamed live. The game at Chelmsford will be streamed live on MCS. So watch and support your Rangers, right? And don't just support them in football, by the way. Support them in volleyball, support them in soccer, support them in golf. All the teams are off to a great start, right? In fact, I think field hockey or soccer, girls field hockey or soccer, one of them is undefeated. So support your Rangers as much as you can. We do here, and we love to see them. We bleed blue. And so, you know, I won't get to the game this Friday night, but I'm hoping to get to one of the games at home very shortly here. And thank you, MCS, for live streaming it, because last week I had to go through some torture chamber to get it streamed from Mansfield. And, you know, it was asking for credit cards. I don't like to give my credit card information out. You know, this is free, but where's your credit card information, right? So, so let's talk about a little bit what we got on the show today. I want to start by talking about one of the things I think we did, and it may be confusing to some of you. So we've changed the venue, if you will, for you to ask questions. It's not Facebook Live anymore. So we've changed the medium from Facebook to YouTube. We believe it works better. All you have to do is go right there where it says youtube.com/Methuen TV, youtube.com/Methuen TV. And once you do, you'll see the program listed there, Mayor's Minutes, and you can click on it and do a live chat, right? So I can see that Methuen Community Studios said, thanks for joining us. Please use the live chat feature, asking your questions and interact, right? So that's what we want to use, the live chat feature on YouTube, right? So go to youtube.com/Methuen TV, and then once you're there, find the Mayor's Minutes and then tune into the live chat and ask anything you want. And the ones I can answer in public, I'll answer in public, which is most of them. Okay, today on the show, we have multiple guests. I'm joined by Patrick McCarty, who is the city epidemiologist. Welcome to the show, Patrick. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you very much, Mr.
This is your second time?
Number 2, yeah.
All right. So we got to get you to the point where you're like, what was that Saturday Night Live skit? They had the thing with the hosts who had done 5 hosting. It was a special club. You know,
I'll have to, a couple more, I'll join the club then.
There you go. And we're going to talk to you in just a minute about a not so scary topic, but something that a lot of people could use help with and are oftentimes afraid to reach out and ask for help, right? And I say that, you know, we've got, and I think you know, you went to the last meeting, we're working on a mayor's task force on mental health, and there are some good things coming out of that. And I hope to go over that next week on the show and talk about some of the recommendations that we as a team are making and what we're going to do, and explain to you what the impact is. And we're not going to use, you know, taxpayer money to start this. We're going to use the opioid money that came to the city of Methuen. Right? So we've got all these things that we want to support. You know, like we want MVP ASAP to get some more money. We want, we want to add 2 more patrol officers to drug control. Those are just a little bit of some of the things we're looking at. That's not finalized. It has to go before council, and council will have to approve, the expenditure of the opioid money, of which we have about $330,000 right now. And so we're trying to figure out how to best use that and how to provide a continuum, right? And so I will tell you that the Mental Health Task Force has been a great working meeting. I've seen, the best of Methuen step up and talk about, what things we kind of need to do, right? And we're still waiting notice on a grant, by the way, for the police department. That's over $1 million that would give us the ability to put social workers in the cruisers with our police officers, right? And that is, that would be tremendous, because when you look at, the monthly meeting that I go and participate in with Chief McNamara and his command, which is called CompStat. It's probably my, if not my favorite, because the Mental Health Task Force is right up there, then it's 1A. CompStat, they review every single crime in the city, where it occurred, what time of day, and all the details associated with it. And then they review, MPD's response to it. What do we do? And quite honestly, a good chunk of those are, mental illness / related, right? And so we can make significant progress, I believe, by that grant that we're dying to hear. So if the chief's out there watching, or Don Reby, our fabulous criminal analyst, if you hear about the grant, please let the mayor know so we can celebrate or weep together, right? So Patrick, back to you. You're one of 2 guests, and then the second one is Joe Cosgrove. Don't tell Joe, but I always put the guest I like best first, right? So
I appreciate it.
So you are our epidemiologist. Before we get into the topic you came to discuss today, talk a little bit about your job. How's it going? What kind of things are you seeing?
Definitely. The job is great since I started in October. We've been covering a handful of different things. Some include what we're going to get into soon regarding all things hoarding related. I've worked closely with both code enforcement and our health inspectors to try to identify different needs in the community from a health perspective. So whether it's cleaner establishments through restaurant inspections, or safer homes through code enforcement, or now as we're diving into hoarding relating issues, which also falls into not only mental health, but safe living and sanitary conditions as well.
Yes.
So I've been kind of floating between a lot of different areas, my main goal is to identify needs in the community, and then how do we address them, whether it's through programming, better inspections, and whatnot.
And so I assume you've been working a lot with the seniors as well?
Yes, most definitely. This program that I'm going to talk about soon is aimed more towards the senior population, and we actually had our first class today, so before I give away too much, it was a huge success.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, in the background, we are always monitoring any diseases in the community through our epidemiological database, which is a fancy term for basically the statewide network for all reported cases for a handful of different diseases. Additionally, as everyone knows, this coming season is another cold season.
Yeah.
So flu, COVID, RSV are on the radar. Those are the main 3 colds that come around this time of year now.
Right. Vaccines, right? Get your vaccines.
Most certainly.
I won't say it too loud because people, I'm not going to. Get your vaccines. It prevents. All right, so let's talk about what you came here really to discuss today. You called it the Buried in Treasures program. So explain a little bit about that, and then we'll put the slide up. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Buried in Treasures is a fully fleshed out program that has existed in other communities. What it is it's more of an interactive support group in a way that's more close-knit, non-judgmental, and it aims to really not only educate people, but help remove the negative stigma behind hoarding. A lot of people hear hoarding, the first thing they think of is the TV show.
Oh my God, yeah.
The most extreme, and a lot of cases can be that extreme, but a lot of cases are more manageable.
Yeah.
They're more 1 to 2 rooms in their house are just filled with items, and what kind of leads to this is either extreme isolation, like our recent pandemic has kind of led a lot of elders to be in a position. Additionally, trauma of any type, or the loss of a loved one can usually trigger things like this. So Buried in Treasures is a nice name to really teach people how do we deal, how do we organize, How do we control our buying impulses, our acquiring? And then most importantly, how can we manage the items we have and find a way to find a use for them, whether it's throwing away, donating, or giving to others that you know. So we kind of try to find the underlying root causes of what leads us to a hoarding situation.
You know, the funny thing is, when I went through my medical issue earlier this year, I became, how do I say this, a constant buyer on, what do you call it? What's the, Amazon.
Amazon, yep.
Amazon, right? And it's so easy.
It is,
it's
and
like,
packages just show up to your house.
God, yeah. And, you know, they show up with alarming speed, if you ask me. And then, you know, I get to the point where, you know, I was going to physical therapy, but I had like stuff all over my room, right? I felt like I was caged in, right? Because I had so many piles of things, right?
Right.
And it was clothes. And literally what I had to do was go through my older clothes and get rid of them, you know, replace with a new one. So I could see how it can happen. Now, you got a slide in the Buried in Treasures program, right?
Yep.
So you started talking about a little bit about what it is, but keep going.
Yeah, definitely. So our workshop actually began today, believe it or not, at the Senior Center.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, the program is pretty full. Usually 8 to 12 people is the ideal class size. We had, I think, 13 come in today, and there's 4 others that are going to be joining in the future sessions that couldn't make it. So we are at max capacity, which is amazing news, but obviously it shows the need that others are interested as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of things, this is the flyer we made. I gave some examples in bullet points so how can people relate? You know, are there stacks of papers in nearly every corner of your house? Is your kitchen table flooded with mail and you have anxiety, you're stressed, and you don't know how to really deal with these things? Closets, cupboards, and other storage areas overflowing with items. Or this is where the code enforcement comes into play. Is it difficult to access essential key areas of your home, like the kitchen, bathroom, or bedroom? And if you find yourself in that situation, well, there's an obvious health concern because you're not able to do your daily tasks. Yeah. But also, it could be a hint that you may need a little bit of help, or you may want to seek help, or at least start to acknowledge that you're in a very sensitive position. Yeah. And you know, this course could be for anyone that kind of says yes to any of these questions that I listed above.
Do you intend to run the course additional times?
So yeah, so this is our first time running the course. It's been, like I said, it was successful in other communities. So I recently was sitting in on Tewksbury. They just finished their program this past Monday. It's a 15-week course, so it's very involved. But my goal, hopefully, if funding allows, because we got our resources for this through actually the Greater Lowell Health Alliance, through a network of other towns and cities that are doing similar things. And the goal would be, with assuming that this is successful, which I have a feeling it will be, the spring would be the next time we run a program. So we're at least aiming 2 times a year because it's just such a long course. And if there really is a need for it, I'm more than happy to run more than one session at a time. But there definitely are plans to keep this going.
Well, it's good. I'm thrilled to hear that you got, what did you say you had in the first session, 13?
We had 13 people came this afternoon, and there's more that already registered. They just couldn't make it today.
Because that, I think, you know, when you get to subjects like that, the no judgment feature is essential, right? Because you're going to get people who feel like they're going to be judged based on how they keep the house or whatever, right? So I would answer no to having people come into my house. Well, but that's because my kids who live with me, they have a unique way to do their laundry.
That's fair.
They put it in the wash machine, they put it in the dryer, and then they fling it across the couch in the living room. And I have never gotten used to that, right? So
I don't blame you. And a lot of people who suffer from this type of condition, or I wouldn't even say suffering from the condition, but a telltale sign is when you don't allow guests in your home, and you have feelings of embarrassment, shame, or you're worried you're going to be judged, even by your best friends. When you start not letting people in the home and you're scared to host someone due to the thoughts that they may have towards you, that's another telltale sign that you could be in a bit of a tricky situation, and it's okay to talk about these things. Just a lot of people have a feeling of shame and guilt.
Yep. So we're getting some questions. Teresa, God love you. I think you get paid by the question. So her first question is, how will this year's Methuen Day event on Saturday, October 7th, be similar and different from last year's event? More and better, I guess is what I'd say, right? So hopefully, last year, did it rain? Was it raining last year or was that the year before? I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
I think it was last year it rained. So hopefully the weather will be better because we've had so much rain this summer. It's really, and there's rain forecast for the weekend. So it's almost like we can't get out of the way here, right? I've never seen so much rain. And for those of you who study, the leaves in that, I'm wondering what's the effect of all this water. Are we going to have as bright and colorful a fall foliage season as we normally do, or will it be brighter? I mean, is this rain better for that? Somebody told me that the pumpkins are struggling with all the rain. All right, so I don't know, what the gist is. If you know, please let the mayor know, because I look forward to fall foliage every year. It's my favorite time of the year. So Teresa, I'm not trying to avoid it. More food trucks, more participants is what I've been told. So I think, City Council Chair Ziegler, who's the driving force behind this, she does a great job playing it out. And she accepts people or, causes or, foundations or whatever to participate in Methuen Day, like literally almost right up to the end, right? So if you're out there and you're a business or a charity or a foundation or a nonprofit and you'd be interested in participating in Methuen Day, reach out to City Council Chair Ziegler, right? Will there be city events for the distribution of the new COVID-19 shots? I read online that the new COVID-19 shots might be available in September 2023. They may be. And if we get them, we will make them available, right? And that's the whole thing. When way back, it seems like a long time ago, almost 4 years, when we first went into the dark days of COVID, most of you will remember we had to fight with the Commonwealth to get, as much as I liked Charlie Baker, think he did a pretty good job. He had started a program, if you remember, that was vaccinating our seniors at Fenway Park and at Gillette Stadium. And that's not the place to be sending our 60, 70, and 80-year-olds. And I attest to that based on my ability to get in, right? So we set up that vaccination clinic at the Loop. We won't be setting it up there because there is a business in there. It's an Army recruiting station now. And we wish them luck. But, lots more to come on that, Teresa. I do hope, and I say this publicly, I do hope that we don't have to go back into the mandatory mask wearing. Because I've already heard, I'm not going to do it. They can't force me to do it. And I got to be honest here. While I am, all for individuals making choices in their lives, there's some things that you just have to acknowledge, right? And so one of them is, I remember when we were negotiating with one of the groups, and I won't tell you who, they asked me to put in the contract that they were not required to take a COVID-19 vaccine. And I said, I could put that in because I'm for you choosing, right? My preferred path is, if you want to get a vaccine, Patrick, you get it. If you don't want to get it, you don't. You deal with the results. But in the case of like a CBA governing group, the difficult part as mayor is, all it takes is one thing from the federal government or the state where they say this money won't be allotted to Methuen unless, right? And so they have the ability to bring the pressures to bear for the city to do vaccines, even when, the mayor might say, I'm all pro-choice. But hopefully we won't get back into mandatory masking. Please God, I hope that day is over. All I know is every time I get a cough, my daughter says to me, test. I did, I got a slight cough now. I tested 3 times the other day. No COVID. Will there be city events available soon for the flu shot? Yeah, I can tell you the public nurse is planning events to do the flu shot as well as whatever else on, COVID, et cetera. All right, so we took a little, excuse me, a little break. Both the class and workbooks are free.
Yep.
And we said the no judgment zone. So what else, would you want to, excuse me, what else would you want to impart to the community on
Well, I would really like to let the community know that we're really addressing this issue. This is just the first step in doing so. Another thing that's great with this grant that I spoke about through Greater Lowell, unfortunately it expires the 25th, that's in 5 days,
Yep.
which isn't great news. However, we were able to get our foot in the door and access some funding.
Yeah.
And so that allowed our health department, myself and my colleague Sarah, to be able to look into clean outs for individuals that are ready to get rid of items, but they're not physically able to for whatever reason, whether it's due to age, any underlying illnesses, or whatever it may be. So we were able to get some approval for these cleanouts, which is a great opportunity because this allows us to collect some data to potentially go after other grants into the future.
Great.
So if this program is successful, we have some success with cleanouts, and we have data to support that this is an issue in the city, which I believe it is.
Yeah.
It'll allow us to chase after some funding that won't cost the city any money, and then we can continue our work and potentially build on it.
Yeah. And you said something that's really important there. In the absence of, we've been trying to get a grant coordinator, and we haven't had much luck. And the purpose of that grant administrator coordinator position is really to tie it together so that the citizens can see how much this city is getting in grant funding. We're getting a lot more than we used to. And that is due to the people that are going after it, right? They are relentless in their search for grant money to cover issues and illnesses and other things, right? And this is a perfect example. So, we would want to support it. So, you said you're at max class size of 13. If somebody's interested in being in, the one that you'd start in the spring, what should they do?
The first thing they should do is definitely reach out to me. That's the best way to go about it. My contact info was on the slide, and it is on that flyer. The Senior Center also has a copy of this flyer. We've distributed it to, obviously, within the health department, but also in Nevin's library. But my phone number is my work phone number, is listed below my name, and my email is there as well.
Yeah, can you read the phone number just so?
Yep, of course. So my phone number is 978-857-1813.
1813.
You can text me, you can call me. I will always pick it up during business hours. Never a guarantee I'll get it if I'm out of the office.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, what else did the mayor not ask you that you were prepared to answer?
Well, one other thing that came up just throughout the questions on YouTube is that the government also just allowed, last year they did it, they allowed citizens to request at-home test kits free of charge. I actually just saw news on that today, so starting this upcoming Monday, people will be able to apply for that. I'm not sure how many test kits it is per household or per individual. I just caught the headline, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
So if any individuals need access to test kits, I would look into that, and also I'll try to see if I can get some more information on it as well so we can distribute the link and the information. Okay.
Excellent. Now, can we have you come back on the show, when you're close to the end of the workshop and talk about?
I would love to. I would love to go over, the results, the success, and maybe if some residents let me, I can get some anecdotal opinions on it.
Absolutely. Well, we love having you on the show. Thank you for coming, and thank you for everything you're doing for the city of Methuen. I think you're doing a remarkable job, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we're going to transition here. Yeah, they're going to focus on the mayor, and we're going to get ready for our next guest. And that next guest is going to talk the all too popular topic of trash and recycling. But here at the administration, we're like a large family, and we like to recognize, when life events happen, that people should be acknowledged for. And so the next slide is in here for a specific reason. We say, congratulations, Joe, on becoming a grandfather.
Oh, yes.
On your birthday, correct?
Day before my birthday.
Day before your birthday.
Same day as William Howard Taft, your favorite president.
And look at
September
that.
15th.
There's James Everett right there.
That's there, he is.
He's a fine-looking young man. Right?
Thank you very much.
All right, congratulations.
That's his first appearance on
He's been
national
live.
TV.
Yeah, we probably should have asked his parents if we could use his image. All right, so let's talk a little bit about recycling. I got a slide in there. Yeah. So, I don't know. We talk a lot, and, you've been part to this when you do your sessions at the library, best library in the state, or, Man Inc. There have been bumps in the road here, right, with the trash pickup. But I want to go back and remind, before we go into the map of shame, I want to remind the residents that our road with JRM was rocky. And so, we have residents come to public participation, which unfortunately is not a point counterpoint thing. It's not, the resident says something, and then the people on the panel, like the mayor, can respond back. You can't. You're not allowed to. That's the, Robert's rules. Excuse me. Things are said, and I get the frustration over when things aren't done right. But, we said, why do we get rid of JRM? Right? And I want to remind you that JRM was bought by Republic. Lawrence contracted with JRM, who became Republic, right? And you don't need to take my word for it. Go back a year and look at the newspapers. Their trash hauling was a disaster. They went in some places 2 months without trash pickup. And they ended up getting rid of Republic. And I'm not making JRM blamed Republic. Republic blamed JRM, for the, not being truthful about the condition of trucks or the number of people or this or that. All things considered, have we had bumps in the road, Methuen? Yeah. But comparatively speaking to our neighbors, not the kind of ups that they've had. And you, as constituents of this city, have adapted extremely well to the program. And I said, I give you a B++ thus far, right? Because people are trying, and a lot of people like the program. You don't hear from them. But, we are doing a good job. But take us back, Joe. Let's talk recycle if we can. And now we can put up the slide of shame. Yeah, go ahead.
So this, every year, as you know, Mayor, the Mass DEP collects, we report our trash and recycling data to Mass DEP and every other city and town that provides municipal trash service does as well.
Yep.
And we have consistently been low performers in terms of, the state has a goal of, reducing, trash pickup by 30% from over the next decade because it's getting more expensive.
Yeah.
10 years ago,
outrageous.
More 10 years ago,
it
was tipping fees were $45 a ton. We're paying in the current year, it's $105 a ton.
Yeah.
So it's really behooves every city and town to really cut their amount of materials that go in the waste stream.
Yeah.
Where we can use, promote reuse, recycling programs, and just get materials that can go in other things.
There was a tidbit in that you sent me that. I think it was the DEP. I won't call it a newsletter, but it was kind of a summary.
Yeah.
And it highlighted Methuen as a community partner working towards, right? And that was nice. But I read and buried in the document, you may have seen this, was a statement that said, by 2030, all the landfills will be at capacity, right?
All the landfills will be closed. There's only 5 left.
Right.
And when we were growing up,
you're
a little older
they were
than me.
everywhere. You had the pig.
You
had the pig, yeah.
Every city in town has its landfill.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 5 operating in the state now.
Yeah.
A lot of the
Are we going to go back to the pig?
Goes
maybe?
to,
No?
we're shipping it to Ohio and South Carolina, New Hampshire, and the costs are going up.
Yeah.
And there's only 5 incinerators throughout the state. We have 2 near us, and that's where our trash goes. But they're nearing capacity, and during the pandemic there were lines to get. One of the reasons there were
2 and 3 hours, right? Yeah.
Right to get in. So there's backups at the incinerators. So the less, the more we can cut our waste, the better it is for the environment and for the taxpayer.
So we started as among the worst in the state.
We were in that deep purple color, for last year.
Not even red.
And the good news, I think the next picture shows kind of what our streets look like. And it was a typical trash day. So that's where we really didn't have limits on anything, effective limits.
Right.
And
I think
that was
still
kind of a
struggle
common
with the
sight.
mattresses.
Yeah, mattresses. We're recycling a lot of mattresses. We've done over 1,000 mattresses through our container just in the last year.
Yeah.
That's less than a year. That mattress program started October last year, statewide, November 1st last year. So we've those are being moved out of the waste stream
Yeah.
as well. We have a local vendor in Lawrence
Yeah.
that does the recycling.
But you go back to that picture, it just shows you got a couch, an armchair, you got what looks like a high chair,
Yeah.
you got barrels,
No covers on.
no covers. Yeah, and you get some other stuff on the side. And I think we definitely have started towards cleaning that up, right?
Yep.
Made a start. So let's talk about our FY23 performance. I'll let you do the honors.
So we have the numbers for at least a fiscal year performance, and we really only started the program really after the first quarter.
Yep.
Everybody got their carts about this time last September.
Excuse me.
The carts were distributed, and the program went into effect. And automated service was October 3rd last year, and we have reduced trash. We saw we've done 20,000 tons, what we had last year and the year before, and we saw immediate reductions in trash with our new hauler.
Yeah, so we went from 20,000 tons, 20+ thousand tons in FY22 to 14.3 in 23.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. And so that translates to a savings of over $500,000
Great.
to the taxpayer in waste disposal costs.
Yep.
And at the same time,
yep.
our recycling tonnage increased. So that increase was more than 30%. And that's really in 3 years. Before we put out the carts, we had basically 25% of the Methuen rental households. They didn't have, if they didn't live here in the 1990s, they didn't have the bins,
Right.
the open bins. So recycling was kind of new.
Yeah, I didn't have
So
one.
we have, right, so you either had to get buy your own and get a sticker.
Yep.
Or, so now everybody has a cart. We saw recycling participation increase.
Yeah.
Tonnage went up 30%.
Yep.
And so our recycling rate, the people who actually put out, on recycling day every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
that went from about 10% to 21%.
Now, I know we're going to talk contamination later, but did you do an audit? Is it today you did it, or?
Well, the audit was in July.
Okay.
We did our contamination
Yep.
audit. So we've done a great job in terms of, our waste tonnage. So we've kind of moved from that purple color, one of those 5 or 6 communities that are in that purple over a ton and a quarter per household per year, which was just unsustainable.
Yeah.
So we've actually done where it's about 0.9, 9/10 of a ton per household, which puts us into the pink,
Yeah.
into the orange.
Not there,
category.
but on the path.
We can kind of
Right.
move into the orange.
Yeah.
So contamination is an issue because our MRF, and remember what the MRF is, Materials Recycle Facility, and that's where Harvey takes all the recycles collected curbside in Methuen, goes to the MRF, it gets sorted
Yeah.
through there's a conveyor belts and optical
Yep.
scanners. We have single streams, so we want to separate the cardboard and the paper from the glass, from the metals, from the plastics, and that's all done at the MRF.
Yep. We should probably do a field trip to the MRF.
We can arrange that.
Yeah.
But one of the things we had, anecdotally, there was talk of, if you remember,
Yeah.
contamination rate, trash that's going to recyclables that cost us,
Yeah.
the city.
Well, our fear was
more.
that people were asking for the extra recycle cart to just put trash in.
Right. So there was anecdotally, we were hearing stories of 40%, whole streets, are basically, that we found that wasn't the case. We've done spot checks.
Good.
And we did the audit, and it was 16.4%, which
Yeah.
is high.
So
And
explain what that means, though, Joe. 16.4%
So that's
of what you
basically,
audited.
we did an 11-day audit.
Yeah.
And they take, from the routes, sample of trucks coming in for each day during the month of July in our case, and weigh, sort of sort out
What's in there?
what's in
Yeah.
a truckload, and by weight, do a percentage. And so there was the contamination, the total weight of trash that was in the
Recycle.
cumulative
Yeah.
list was about 16.4%.
Yeah, but you got a great slide
Which
in
is
here.
high.
You got a great slide. It is high, but
Yeah.
I think we were
It
just
wasn't
worried
as
it was
high.
going to be
We
higher.
were
Yeah.
worried that it was higher.
Yeah. So this slide that's in here from Recycle Smart MA. So I know there's a debate constantly.
Yeah.
Pizza boxes, on any given day, you can get a different answer from different people.
Well, it's been consistent for the last couple of years, because as you know,
what
during
is
the
it?
pandemic,
What is it? If it's got food
right,
soil on
it's
it?
got food in it, pizza boxes, they want your pizza boxes. There's demand for the pizza
We
boxes.
want your pizza box?
They want the pizza boxes, but they
What
have
if
to be
there's
free of food.
Oil and stuff on them.
A little bit of grease isn't bad. Still recyclable. Make sure there's no cheese and pizza slices.
Yeah, yeah.
in it. They don't
Left.
want the food. They
Okay.
can't sort that through. But
Yeah.
there was demand. The value of cardboard was a prime commodity at the end of the pandemic. It went from $30 a ton to more than $150 a ton.
Wow.
Now it's settled back down to $50 a ton. But it's still one of the more valuable recyclable materials.
Well, probably
And
one
so
of
there's
the
demand.
most difficult thing with the recycles is, and I would say, I had to learn to get away from. So prior to going to the program, I lined all my bins with plastic bags, right? And I did that to keep the bin clean, right? And while you can do that with your trash, you cannot do that with your recycle, because then you have a plastic bag that has no place to go.
Yeah. Well, you can do, and this I have it at my house. You have your recycled bag in the kitchen, and you empty it, but you just empty it loose materials into the cart at the end of the week.
And just a reminder, I'm always chasing my kids. Bottles and jars, rinse them out, right? Please rinse them out. If it was Coke, if it was, a soda of some time, if it was bleach, or if it was, rinse out the bottle or the jug that you're putting in there, please, right? Okay. There's an action pick.
So when we talk about the contaminant, the number one contaminant thing, so we've been doing, that's your guy, that's our sort of head guy with Harvey, is Matt Higgins, who you know well.
I do.
And we've been doing some of the spot checks in some of the neighborhoods and leaving oops tags. Most people we find want to do the right thing. There's very few people, out of 100, if you go to 100 houses, you get one or two that are actually trying to sneak trash into the into the recycle.
Is he seeing any contaminants there, Joe?
He doesn't. He's looking carefully, but usually what we see, and if there is contamination, most people are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's the stray plastic bag.
Yeah.
It's the bagging of the recyclables.
Yep.
It's the bubble wrap, those plastic wraps, the mailer things. Those are probably the number one contaminants that we get.
And then there's another one on the next slide.
And that's probably like the number two contaminant, styrofoam packing. So it was out today.
It's not recyclable.
Not recyclable. And that's just an education thing. People assume that it is, but it really can't go in the single-stream recycling.
Should we be talking to our restaurants about going away from styrofoam?
Well, it's more,
or takeout,
what we find is less than, there are other styrofoam cups. It's a lot of the packing, too, as well. So it's, it's looking at some of the materials, and there is movement, talk of legislation as far as, extended producer responsibility in terms of why are communities paying for
Right.
Just, paying for.
Now we got another action picture of Matt coming up.
Matt, yes, this is another one of our big contaminants. I pulled a couple of these out today, but those big Tupperware we call the bulky, rigid plastic, those aren't recyclable.
They're trash, right?
They're trash.
Yep.
And either, if you can fit it in the bin, bring it right to the transfer station, with your sticker for the trash.
Our numbers, even in the delivery of things to the transfer station, are way up.
Yeah. So there's more activity, but a lot of people still don't know about the transfer station. So we're looking at doing improvements.
Well, I want to touch on that at the end. There's an interesting proposal that you've given me that I'm really for, and I think it will help a lot of residents. So the transfer station is one of those things. It's kind of like Forest Lake. They're hidden jewels. You really don't know they're there.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm excited about what you told me. I'm going to skip right over the next chart for MCS because I think Joe thought we were, Joe's heard that you have to repeat everything 3 times. So he's got no plastic bags and no plastic wrap is the next slide.
Well, that is the number one. If
Number
people
one.
think of it as don't bag your recyclables.
Or get your groceries in paper bags. Now,
and
here's the thing
already-
I've heard from seniors, and it makes good sense to me. They'd be willing to do paper bags, but they're not as easy to use as so the plastic bags
Yeah.
are smaller, have a handle,
Yeah.
right, for gripping. The paper bags are larger, and you got to pick them up like a sack,
Yeah.
So I think, what we've got to do is we've got to invest some time and effort in, designing a paper bag that, can do the same.
Well, I have too, in terms of, or if you can bring your own,
Yeah.
reusable
Yep.
bags.
Yep.
Those are,
Yeah, I do
we
too. I use a big
that
blue
too.
one. But, even for the people that don't, and a lot of people
Yeah.
don't, I mean, we'd like to get them switched to paper,
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying. All right.
the other contamination issue that we see a lot of.
Yeah.
That there's lots of, because in some states it is recyclable, it's not in and even some communities. But the refrigerant, like the milk cartons, the
Yeah.
wax paper milk
Yeah.
cartons, ice cream cartons,
Yeah.
those aren't recyclable.
They are not.
They are not recyclable
Okay.
in Massachusetts. That may change in a couple of years, but
Yeah.
right now, the paper
Good to know.
manufacturers don't want to make that mixed in with the good cardboard and
Yeah.
and the
I-
newspapers.
Are you planning on doing any more sessions across the city?
Yeah, we're doing whoever wants. Like, I've been
Yeah.
talking with the senior center about
Yep.
scheduling something there. We should be doing, but we've done forums at the library.
So, yeah, and I
So
want to
anytime.
touch on, and I can give you some time to talk about. So we're in phase 2 of the trash program. And phase 2 is, so phase 1, we handed out the carts and we kind of stepped back and, we did not get into, that I'm aware of, any difficult discussions with residents over, what was in their trash. We kind of were taking it all for a short period of time. That was through maybe the beginning of this month, and then with your fabulous intern who's doing high student.
Yep.
We did some work, and now we've developed, and maybe you've heard me say to the city council, we're in phase 2. In phase 2, Joe kind of alluded to it, and I want you to understand, we've got oops tags. I should have brought one. And if you get an oops tag, it's telling you got something in your recyclables that should be in your trash, right? We're going to do that for probably the whole month of October. And then at the end of October, we're going to go to, before the end of October, we're going to go to city council with an ordinance update on trash. And I don't want to be, hard line about this, but the bottom line is, we see enough anecdotal evidence that the typical Methuen resident is working very hard to make this work. You're always going to get some people who are holdouts, and those people have to be brought along just like the rest. In fact, I had one person say, it's not fair to me if I'm doing the right thing or paying, for the blue bags or for an extra cart, and the guy next door is throwing his trash in his old barrel, and it's still getting picked up. And the mayor wholeheartedly agrees with that. So probably in the November timeframe, we'll move into phase 3 of the trash program, where the ordinance will address, what's going to happen. And I want to, after the whole oops second phase finishes, there'll be still a period, a grace period, as the ordinance takes place where your carts will get stickered. If your carts have mixed in them, they will not be picked up. All right? Now that's essential because we've got to kind of reduce the, contamination, if you will. So once that sticker goes on, it changes everything. You're not fined or anything. That doesn't come until, there's objective evidence that a household is specifically just ignoring the education and the discussion and is going to keep doing something, right? But there are, city council will deliberate, what do we find? And I'm sure I would ask every Methuen resident to come to that because, the bottom line is, by and large, 99% of the residents of Methuen are doing a fantastic job here. Really are. And so, to say we're quite pleased with the program is kind of the undersell of the century, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, Joe, while you're here. We can have you back pretty soon to go through, home heating costs.
That season's coming up.
Yeah.
National Grid today announced
their
rates. Yeah.
It's, up 18%.
Yep.
The mayor's not happy.
More cents. So that'll be a good show. I would just add on the contamination rate. The goal we've set is right now we're at 16.4%, but if we can get it to below 10%, that would be good.
That's the goal.
We're talking to our peers in Lawrence.
Yep.
They're at 9%.
Yeah.
So I think we can.
If Lawrence could do 9%, Methuen could do 9%, right?
And that can say, because we get, the recyclables are a commodity. It's kind of, the market's kind of a roller coaster, but we do get a credit on our processing costs based on the value of that.
We do. So. Yep. And so, if residents want to talk to you a little bit more about contamination, recycling, whatever, they should reach out to you here.
Yep, at my email address. My phone number, 978-983-8563 is the direct office line.
And I want to talk just a minute before we go into the coming attractions. So I'm really excited about the sign project.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, Joe, if you would.
So that's one of the things, we did a survey a couple of years ago when we were setting up the program. And about half the town, one, didn't know what a transfer station was, and two, didn't know where it was. And it's off Howe Street.
Yep.
It's on Hunting Street. There's not really a sign at the entrance. There used to be a little sign.
I think there's a tiny little one, but it's all beat up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to improve the signage. People get to the, it's off Huntington Avenue. There's a little scale house, but you have to drive beyond the scale house.
Yeah, and it's not apparent as soon as you drive in there what you should do, right?
Or where do you go?
Yeah.
And so it's not user-friendly. And we've heard that for multiple times. So we want to I know you wanted to take down the building and do something
well, if we get that
more. I think are
we still in the opting for that grant?
Yeah, so that's true. We are. We did put in a EPA grant that we should be hearing this month. This is September 20th, so should be in the next 10 days. And we were finalists, so that was good. So that was part of that process. But anyway, we want to at least improve the signage out there. Less of a jumble, identify where the stations are, where you put your metals, where you put your single stream recyclables, where you put your trash.
We've had a resident submit examples, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to give you a kind of you drive into the transfer station, and instead of like it is today, where if you haven't already been there, it's not obvious to you where you go if you have cardboard, or where you go if you have, grass clippings, etc. So we're talking about a signage board as you come in that gives you a color coding associated with each category. So, for example, computerized hardware, things like that, would be one color. And you would follow that color to where you take the computerized hardware at the transfer station. And the same thing is true for other categories. For cardboard, a different color than the computerized stuff, but enough so that it led you through the transfer station so that the transfer station would make sense to all residents, right? Because, by and large, the people that haven't used it, that are starting to use it, it can be a confusing place, right? So, okay. So when do I expect to see that on my desk?
That's probably next week, in terms of the
That's a great thing. All right, we're going to make you sit through. So if you have any questions on recycling or trash, please get them to Joe. I think things are going remarkably well, I'll be honest with you, right? And appreciate your input on the program. I know there's still bumps. I want to say that So see Click Fix works, and I still check it every morning first thing. And there are missed trash pickups. And, some of these are, driver idiosyncrasies, let me put it that way. And so you should report them, right? You should report them. But even I have noticed a far reduced amount of those in the last month or so, right? So I think we're starting to get someplace. That doesn't mean that yours didn't get missed yesterday. And so please don't take the mayor's words wrong. If they didn't take your trash pickup, or we're going to have lawn and leaf pickup, which is going to occur on your recycle day, beginning, I think he said October 15th at City Council, October 15th through December 15th. And that's longer than we've been able to do it in the past because we're going to own the truck. We do own the truck. So we have a Packer truck, $326,000 we bought in our capital improvement plan. And that's going to be, we intend to use that as often as possible, right? So to pick up all the leaves, I don't think any of them have fallen yet, have they? I saw a few acorns in my driveway.
It's been very late.
I didn't see, very late. But that led to my question of, will the leaves be as bright and colorful, right? So I don't know if that means fall is going to be a little bit later this year. I've never seen a season where, my lawn is still being mowed on September 20th, and is lush and green. Soaked, I guess is the word. So, but watch for that, October 15th to December 15th. You can go out to the City of Methuen website, citymethuen.net, and check the schedule. And you put your lawn or leaf clippings out on your recycle day, and they will come through and take them. But it's not Harvey that does it. It's a DPW team using that separate Packer truck, right? So Harvey will be doing the trash and recycling. DPW workers doing the lawn and leaf pickup, right? And hopefully we can do it for even longer stretch in the spring, summer, because there's no reason for us to have to, cut it off. The one issue we run into is availability of manpower, right? And so we're trying to address that. Okay, upcoming events. So we've got a lot of upcoming events that I wanted to touch on quickly. This Friday, September 22nd, if you have a burning desire to have a cup of coffee with the mayor, please come to Heavenly Donuts at 137 Pelham Street, Methuen, Mass. We'll be there from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we'll answer any questions you might have, whether it's trash, recycling, or snowing. I read a report the other day that said the almanac is saying we're going to have a better winter than normal. That always makes me nervous, right? Because snow keeps me up at night, right? When I was a child, I used to love snow because it meant day out of school, right? Now as the mayor, all I hear is ring, ring, ring when the snow comes. All right, next ad is for our fabulous Trees Up Methuen Day, which is scheduled Saturday, October 7th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., where we block off downtown Methuen. There's going to be all kinds of music, dance, food, fun. And you know what? I just looked at, I'm guilty of not, I don't think I have we have a Hispanic ceremonies going on, and we don't have a slide in there. So the mayor's apologies for that, but we'll have to get one. Methuen Day, Saturday, October 7th. Please come out. Hopefully the weather will cooperate after all the rain we've had, hopefully. And there's going to be tons to do. There's things for kids, there's face painting, there's bouncy houses, you name it. So come on out, and lots of food as always, which the mayor thinks is important. So October 7th, 2023. Then probably one of my favorite events in the city, believe it or not, is the Fall Festival, which is up at Great Court. We had a spectacular day last year where the kids come and they walk around in their costumes, and prizes are given away. There's games, there's so much more. There's food, cider donuts, there's popcorn, there's, hot dogs. It's a great time, and it's a great day to take a pic. By the way, people have asked me, when will Halloween be? Halloween will be October 31st, right? That is a Tuesday. So we will do our normal 5:30 to 7:30 on a Tuesday. I'm not a big fan of changing the date of trick or treat. So the Fall Festival comes the week before Halloween. Make sure that you get to check that out with your children. And even if you don't win a prize, just the food that you can get will make you belly full for the day. And then last but not least, I can't believe this slide's in here. The Santa Parade. Good Lord. November 18th, 1 p.m. I mean, we're rushing a little bit on me. I got to talk to Jordan and say, okay, so we put the Santa Parade in. They're still accepting bands, institutions, et cetera, that want to march in the parade. We always want to make it bigger and better than ever. And the people that work on it, like Joe Stacklin and Steve Angelo, have done a good job doing that. So please, reach out to Steve Angelo if you've got questions about the Santa Parade. And if you have questions about Hispanic Heritage Month, come on up to the Great Hall. We have a display there that our DEI officer put in. It's really fabulous. It talks a lot about the immigration of some people from Cuba, from other Latin American countries, and what they had to face when they came to this country. And it's really a fantastic exhibition. There will be a Hispanic event at Riverwalk Park, and I just don't have the date on me. So my apologies for not putting the slide in the package. But we will have one. It's usually right around the end of the month. So I got to check my date book, see when that is, and make sure we get it out to you. Make sure you drop a line and say, congratulations to Grandpa Joe. Right? I've been waiting for him to be a grandfather since I became mayor, so I could use, I'm going to show you how old I am. I used to watch a show called Petticoat Junction.
That's
You
right.
remember that show?
Vaguely, yeah. You're older than me.
That's Uncle Joe. Yes, he's a moving kind of slow. That's I changed that to say that's Grandpa Joe. He's moving kind of slow. But congratulations, because honestly, and you know this, when all this other stuff is taken away,
yep,
that's what really matters, right? That's the only thing that really matters. All right, let me check questions before we sign off here. Teresa is getting money for every question, I think. How is the recycling program going? I think we answered that. Might be nice to have a recycling session again like the one that we heard recently. I believe it was Nevis Library. I was not able to attend the previous. Can it start at 7 p.m.?
Sure, we can talk to the library. They close, right at 9.
Right at 9. Yeah. Is there going to be a day to collect hard to recycle items? I like that question.
Hard to recycle items?
Yeah.
Oh, that is something we've talked about.
Yeah.
A zero waste day.
Yeah.
And we can...
I like the idea of that.
Talk more.
Yep.
Yeah. We need a lot of volunteers and we need a lot of vendors.
Yep.
So, but that's something we can...
Yeah, so she got another great question. So some shipping materials are plastic package mailers.
Yep.
It lists them on them that they're recyclable. It's got the symbol. But I don't think in Methuen they can go in the recycling bin.
Right. They can't go in the single stream recycling.
Yeah.
So even with the plastics, the numbers, we're getting away from the numbers, think more about the shapes.
Yeah.
And is it a bottle, jar, jug, or tub?
Yeah.
It's plastic, and it's clear plastic can be recyclable.
Yep.
Black plastic containers, we get a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
Reuse them, wash them, reuse them. Don't put them in the recycle container. Put them in, give them to your kids, and you have extra food, they want to get another.
You'll end up with Tupperware.
Tupperware, that's right.
So she's got one last question. So some mass cities don't allow plastic bags in stores for purchases. Do you think Methuen will do this eventually? That is a very difficult question. Because I'm going to be honest with you, as much as I'd like to do it, it puts an enormous burden of cost on the stores, right? Because they're using those plastic bags because the relative cost of them is inexpensive, right? So I think, Teresa, what I would rather do first is sit with the folks, from Market Basket on Haverhill Street, from Market Basket on Pleasant Valley Street, from all the markets in the city, not just Market Basket, and talk to them about what can we do that makes sense for you, right? Is there a way to improve it slightly so that it makes sense for you and doesn't place an enormous cost burden on you? Because let's face it, All right, we're a border city, and like I said, during the pandemic, some of our small businesses took a beating. So I'm hesitant to really, just go with something like that, or even go to city council and ask for it. We will have some discussions with them, and we'll come back to you. I see that our time has run out. I want to thank Joe Cosgrove and Patrick McCarty, my guests today, and invite you back here next week. We're going to have the two chiefs, Sheehy and McNamara, on for updates in fire and police, because they haven't been on in quite a while. So come loaded with your questions, and we look forward to seeing you here next week. God bless you all.